Martin, a cybersecurity specialist, had lost his job due to the numerous layoffs from the COVID-19 tech breakdown. For 2 years, he had been looking for a full-time job that would help him provide for his family. He had taken a few part-time gigs here and there to help him stay afloat, but he was barely surviving. With a pregnant wife and a 2-year-old to take care of, there was no way he could keep up with just gigs. One random Sunday afternoon, he decided to hack into a company he knew that handled the mail for most of the states in his region. It wasn't a big company, but he had a plan: hack the company and ask for a job. It worked. They realized they needed better cybersecurity infrastructure to keep their customers safe. They asked him to come over to their headquarters a few miles away. That meant one thing: Martin needed to sell his house. He put it up on an auction website, as he didn't want the hassle that real estate agents brought with them. The next day, he was on a video call with a prospective buyer when this happened.
Angelika, co robisz? Angelika? Co tu robisz? Co robisz?
Czytam.
Co tam się stało? Spadły ten... Stójcie na podłogę.
Ale jak spadło?
Widziałaś to? Ja pierdolę!
First, there was a slow noise coming from his bedroom that seemingly only he could hear. Then some utensils in the kitchen and the vase in his living room literally started moving before his eyes. Martin couldn't help but freak out. He had no idea that his house had poltergeist activity. The next day, he took out a loan from his friend and moved to the company headquarters with his wife and kids. He was sure he didn't even want to sell the house anymore. He just didn't want anything to do with spirits and all that paranormal stuff. Alexis had just moved into a new apartment in a new city. He had moved away from his wife and kids after losing everything he had built to her in a divorce case. He knew he would lose. He had cheated on Kira numerous times and wasn't surprised when the judge gave his verdict. However, that wasn't his major problem right now. Something else was. He had a poltergeist problem in his home and needed to solve it as soon as possible. He had noticed it 2 weeks after he renovated the rundown house. It was in terrible shape when he bought it, but it was cheap, and he just needed to spend a few $100s on renovations to get it into great condition. However, a few weeks in, he started noticing strange things. First, it was the flickering lights, then random banging on doors at night, and eventually, a total thrashing of his house at some point. He searched online and found a world-renowned exorcist who promised to get rid of all sorts of paranormal activity. All Alexis had to do was upload a video of the activity and send it to the exorcist for analysis. Alexis was able to capture this footage on 2 cameras. he heard some noise in his kitchen cabinet, a slow, somewhat rhythmic banging that seemed to be saying something. He checked it out with a camera in hand and sent it to the exorcist. After 2 weeks, he received this message. Run for your life. These types of activities are from territorial principalities. They own the house and I cannot help you. Alexis was struck by fear. That same day, he moved out and found a motel to stay in. In the end, he had to move back to his city, finding a house that he first vetted with a local exorcist. Julian was what most people would call a digital nomad. He had a 6-figure paying job and could work from anywhere in the world, so he decided to travel while working. After 2 months of staying in Bali, he decided it was time to move again. He wasn't sure where he was going, but he was certain he'd try a smaller city this time because the big cities always seemed crowded. Julian wanted some peace and quiet. He found a sleepy Swiss town called Corripio and decided to give it a try. When he got there, the town was exactly what he wanted, quiet. Julian worked from his Airbnb for a few days, but one day he decided to try out a cafe he had seen around. It was quiet and empty. There was no one in the cafe, absolutely no one, not even an attendant. Julian decided to dust off a chair and table and sat there. He worked until dusk, and there was no sign of anyone walking in or out. It was very strange, but Julian brushed it off. It was a small town of about 25 people, plus tourists, so it wasn't really a big deal. The next day, the same thing happened, and the next, and the next. Julian decided to take a walk around the cafe after a few days of inactivity. That was when this happened. He literally saw one of the chairs on the balcony move on its own. He freaked out, took a few steps back, and ran. When he got downstairs, he packed his stuff and left as quietly as he had entered. The next day, he talked to his tour guide about what had happened, but she laughed it off, saying that it was normal. The cafe had been owned by a local, and now his spirit took care of the place, even though he was dead. Roland with me is a well-known YouTuber and a paranormal investigator. He lives in Texas and had a few other apartments across the country. However, one day he found something odd in his trash can, an old, freaky doll. At first, Roland thought it was one of his paranormal friends trying to play a trick on him, so he just took the trash out as usual and threw the doll with it. A week later, just when his trash needed to be taken out again, he found the same doll sitting atop his trash. This time, Roland decided to be smart about it. He got some spray paint, marked the foot of the doll, and threw the trash away like nothing happened. A week later, he found the doll again. He checked its foot without touching it and saw the small pink stain from the spray paint. Roland almost freaked out, but he knew what to do. He was going to interrogate the doll.
On right here, look at this. That doll was just moving. That was legit moving. As soon as I started this app. Are you here near this doll? Are you attached to this doll, making things move in this house and outside? It said yes. How come you keep moving around? Shit. It's moving. Holy shit. Oh my gosh. All right. Are you done? Are you making this doll move? The doll is moving right now. Okay. All right, this doll is legit moving. Did you destroy my table? Shit. That is still moving. You're moving the doll right now, right? Do you want to go to Pennsylvania? Do you want to go to Pennsylvania, yes or no? No.
He used an app that could decipher white noise from spirits to get it to talk. After the interrogation, Roland was sure the doll was cursed. He wasn't exactly scared at that point because he had a thing for cursed dolls. They were his forte anyway. He knew to keep his camera on so he could analyze it later. Then, he went into his house and was about to get some of his stuff when this happened.
Pennsylvania. And my happy place? Totally destroyed. So now I got to deal with a broken happy place, and I don't even know what am I gonna... That just went from there to here. And for the skeptics, there are no strings attached. I believe it's got to be the doll in there. Because that doll right there, when I go near it, it moves away, right? And then over here, that's moving towards me. So what does that mean? You know what that means? That doll wants this to stay here. That staying here means that I'm not going anywhere with the doll. I'm getting in the car. I'm going to Pennsylvania. And that's just the way it is. I am not backing down. I'm not letting this try to control me. It's not happening. I got enough shit going on in my life. I don't need this to control me, so that's going back in the car. I don't care. That's just what's happening. I mean, this went all over the place. This back and forth, this moving by itself, everything moving all around. It's not scaring me. It's aggravating me. But yeah, let me get this.
The luggage he had packed that morning for a flight literally followed him. That meant something scary. The doll had access to his house. For context, Roland's house was a fortress, spiritually. He had enough crucifixes, salt, and potions to survive a full-blown vampire attack. However, if the doll could get in, that meant he wasn't dealing with just a doll. Roland's decided to do the one thing he was sure would keep him safe for a while: run. He picked up his stuff, got into his car, and drove to his nearest apartment in Kentucky. At least he would be safe there for now. The past few months had been one of grief for Erin. For the past few months, she had spent most of her days crying or sleeping. Erin had lost the most important person in her life, her dad. She was alone now in this world. She was the only child of her parents, and her mum had passed away years ago when she was still in high school. Now, her dad had joined her in heaven. Erin's dad dying was already tragic enough, but what was much more tragic was the way he had died. He had died in one of the strangest ways ever, a freak accident in his workshop that decapitated his right hand and left leg. It was horrific. Erin knew her father didn't deserve to die like that. He was a peaceful and loving man. After a few months, the funeral finally came around. Erin's extended family and a few friends came around to sympathize with her. She had quit her job a few weeks earlier so she could stay in her dad's house for a few weeks to reconnect after his passing. It was in those few weeks that a lot changed. She stuck around town and heard people talk about her dad in a strange way. They said he was a wizard of some sort. Others called him an exorcist, a mind reader, and countless other things. This was not the father she knew. Erin waved off all the weird talk and just decided to drown herself in her sorrow. Then, on one of the nights, something happened.
I need help. I took this video at like 2:30 this morning and I don't know what to do. Oh god, something's in the bathroom. There's no way something is not in the bathroom downstairs. So now it's almost 8 a.m. I'm not positive, but I have to imagine whatever it was is still in there. 1, what the heck could it be? 2, what do I do? Because I am not opening that door.
She heard some banging in the basement that housed the workshop where her father had died. She was scared to go check, so she just took a video and, after a few days, decided to show it to a local priest she had known all her life. It was then that the actual truth of who her father was came to light. He really was an exorcist and had worked with Father Aaron before to terminate spirits. He told her the home needed a cleansing. Erin couldn't believe her ears, but Father Aaron had sufficient proof and told her everything she needed to know. In the meantime, he offered her a room in the parsonage to stay. A day later, he performed the cleansing, and just when he was about to leave, he gave her a diary that her dad had kept while he was alive. It was in this book that Erin really got to know who her father truly was. Alex ran an orphanage for kids in Lyon, France. She had inherited it after her mother passed. Her mom didn't want it to end up being run by corrupt charities that would use it as a cash siphon. So she willed it to Alex so it would stay in the family. Alex loved kids, but somehow she had married a prick who didn't. Her husband Joey abandoned her after he found out she was pregnant, so she had to raise her 2-year-old son, Harry, and the kids at the orphanage as well. She had help in the person of Edward, an older man who helped her mum run the orphanage as well. The two had a lot of work cut out for them, but somehow they managed. One day, after a hard day at work, Alex was surprised to hear some banging in her trunk. She checked, and one of the kids, Jeremy, had been in her trunk all the while. It was late, and there was no way she could get him back to the orphanage that day. Jeremy ended up sleeping in her house that night, but that was when tragedy struck. Jeremy lost his life in Alex's house that night. In fact, when the police found out, she was arrested. The only way she got out was because they found CCTV footage of Jeremy entering the trunk by himself, and the autopsy showed Jeremy had had a heart attack. It was improbable for his age, but that was what the autopsy showed. After Alex got home that day, she started to realize strange things happening. Shaking windows, loud noises that she could not trace, and the like. The freakiest of her experiences was a cold summer night, the last straw that broke the camel's back.
Une putain de manette pour ce truc là, elle est où la manette? Elle est où la manette, putain? Putain, j'en ai dit. Ah putain.
Donna, aber wie bitte Chico?
She had heard a strange noise at her door that night and went out to check. She found her son's toy in front of her door, but the problem was her son had been asleep for more than an hour. She looked around and even checked up on him in his room. Then she remembered Jeremy. It kind of made sense now. The toys getting missing, the trunk moving on its own accord. Alex knew exactly what she needed: a cleansing. Her mother had it once when a child died on orphanage grounds. The very next morning, she talked to Edward, and they called Father Julius. He told them to leave the house for 2 days while he did his job. Alex took Harry to a friend's house for the 2 days. After that, all the paranormal activity stopped. Eliscar was supposed to spend a few days of his Christmas break with his child alone. His wife, Laurentia, had traveled to go see her parents for a few weeks, so that meant it was going to be just him and baby Camilla. He wasn't too bothered. He was up to the task. In fact, he was looking forward to doing all the stuff his wife had complained about. The first few days were a bit of a hassle. He had forgotten to change the diaper before bed. He had fed her too much at night, which meant she was up most of the night disturbing him. But after a few days, he found his flow and was able to do almost all the baby chores without having to call his wife. However, Eliscar realized one day that something wasn't exactly right. A few things had been missing from their places. They seemed to move slightly away from where he had kept them. Also, it seemed as if baby Camilla would sometimes trash up the house and get things all rattled up. She was too little to be able to do some of the thrashing, as it seemed. Things kept getting worse and worse until one day he caught this on camera while on a video call with his wife.
Escuche. Voy a ver que no haya nadie aquí en la casa. Que se supone que todos salieron de viaje. Hey, hey.
He had heard a noise in the background and had gone to check. He checked the bathroom and the guest room only to turn back and realize something tragic.
Hey, hey. Hey, mi bebé está allá. Mi bebé está allá adentro. ¿Qué pasó, mi amor? ¿Qué pasó? Vente, mi amor. Vente, bebé. Ya, mi amor. Ya, mi amor.
The door had been shut behind him, and he was having trouble getting in. He pushed and pushed, but it didn't budge. Then he said a mumbled prayer casting out demons, and it opened. Eliscar picked up baby Camilla and went through the house looking for any traces of paranormal activity.
¿Eso? ¿Qué fue lo que se escuchó? ¿Vieron eso? ¿Vieron eso? Solo lo vi yo. No, sí me tengo que llevar a mi bebé de aquí.
After that, he slowly backed out and left the building. He wasn't sure what was going on, but he didn't care. He wanted his baby safe. He found a family hotel and lodged for the night. The next morning, he took time out to think about what had happened and what the problem really was. And then it hit him. He and Laurentia had fired one of their nannies a few months back. She was an older lady in her late 70s. Eliscar had seen her doing some weird prayer with a seemingly weird necklace while carrying baby Camilla. That was how they found out she actually practiced a bit of voodoo. The couple was not too happy about that and fired her. She cursed at them and told them she'd come for their baby, even in her death. Eliscar called Laurentia, and they talked about the possibilities. After that, they called up the hiring company and inquired about their former employee. It turned out that she actually just died a few weeks back, right about the time Eliscar had started noticing the paranormal activity. Laurentia's mom had heard the whole story and called up a priest friend of hers who she wanted to bless Camilla and protect her from the voodoo nanny. Father Phineas got to their city in a few days. He conducted the blessing and also cleansed the house. After that, all the paranormal activity stopped. In the following video, Amy was minding her own business sorting out some paperwork when a major disturbance stood in her way. This disturbance was so unexpected that she referred to it as a trauma event, but I will let you form your own opinion on such a bold statement. Take a look.
Okay guys, I'm in here again. Just put some clothes in the dryer. I have all the lights on because I get freaked out when I'm down here alone, but I heard something coming from, I think it was the bathroom. It sounded like something slid or maybe like a knocking sound or something like that. It sounded creepy. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. There's nobody in here, guys. It's just me. Literally just me. Okay, upstairs I go. Bye-bye.
Strangely, Amy heard a banging sound coming from the bathroom and decided that she must act upon it. She went to investigate the bathroom, and for a good 10 seconds, nothing happened. However, this grace period, if you will, did not last. Moments after entering the room, a drawer slid open without any contact, and this frightened Amy to the extreme as she had never experienced anything paranormal. It is safe to say that this incident left an imprint on the victim, and they would never forget what happened. Roland with me is a common name brought up on this channel, and this is simply because of the sheer amount of paranormal experiences he has documented over the years. He is one of those YouTubers who visit haunted locations for videos, but in more recent times, the haunted locations visited him. Let me explain. Due to him being around spirits for so much of his time, some of them have attached to him and gone as far as coming to his home. This has led to his house being riddled with paranormal activity, and he continues to supply evidence to prove that. Here's an example.
That knife just came out of there. All right. That sink, the faucet was spinning 360.
But I'm more worried about that knife right there. Right there. This was all the way in, and it came back out. And I had just put this outside for a couple days out in the backwoods. Is there a spirit here that just moved that knife? Can you please move it back? I hear something. Move the knife back. Shit. Okay.
After the proposal from Roland, the spirit complied and decided to put the knife that it moved back into its storage. Roland was quite pleased that the spirit listened to him because it meant that he still had some authority over his own house, but things would not end for him, and you will continue seeing him on this channel, so subscribe. On October 15th of 2019, Marcus was alone in his store when he made a shocking discovery. Marcus purchased the building roughly 4 years ago, and a good point to make is that nothing strange ever happened there. The store operated perfectly, with the employee welfare standards being described as through the roof. But all good things must come to an end, and this was certainly the case for what was meant to be a peaceful store. The footage you are about to see was caught at 2 p.m., so it was not a timing that you would expect to see videos of this manner coming from. Regardless of what time it was though, it was just as spooky as the usual ghost sightings, and here is why.
Cuenta que... ¡Ay, pues! Hijo de la chingada. ¿Ya vieron? Ay, a ver si quedó grabado eso. Hijo de su... ¿Vieron cómo se aventó la puerta? Esas son las cosas que pasan aquí a veces. Ahí está la Moana. Ahí está la Moana y es lo que les digo, se avientan las cosas. Ah, pero no está tirada ni nada. Hijo de su madre, trae la piel chinita, No, pues no. Está cabrón. Esperaba que me hubieran hecho una broma. No, anda, pues vámonos mejor.
For some reason, the spirit was repetitively opening the door and swinging it closed at maximum power. This obviously made a lot of noise and summoned Marcus from another room to come and check that everything was okay. It definitely was not. Without cutting the camera, he approached the door that was being controlled in order to catch a glance of what was behind it. To his dismay, there was nothing at all. The upcoming clip was captured by Daryl, a middle-aged office worker who despised his job. He had grown up always dreaming of becoming a successful business owner, but despite working hard for this, a change in the market left his idea to rot. This forced poor Daryl into regular employment, where he was paid a below-average wage to take calls all day, and as I previously stated, this was not fun for him. One fateful day, though, at 11 a.m., Daryl had the surprise of his life, and no matter how hard he tried to decipher what had caused it, he could not. Feel free to help him in the comments after watching this.
Some crazy paranormal shit going on. It's just me. There's no one else around. There's no freaking strings.
Absurdly, the computer powered itself up, but this could have easily been pinned as being an issue with the general computer. However, as if the spirit knew that this was not enough to prove its presence to Daryl, it started to tamper with the cabinets, which was 100% the tipping point that made Daryl fear for his life. It is safe to say he knew that it was there and was not a fan of that idea. In the last video on this channel, we looked into the life of Jake and Faye, a father and daughter who had a very strong bond, but were facing the hardships of a haunting. In case you missed that content, Jake deployed cameras all around the house, including in Faye's room, so that he could pin down what was causing a strange feeling he had. He had this sense that something was wrong but didn't quite know what. That was until the cameras caught some movement in Faye's room. This follow-up clip took place 2 days after that one, and this time the spirit made sure that they could meet it firsthand.
Do you hear the footsteps? I know y'all hear that, right? Do you hear it? You hear the footsteps?
Where's the steps? Is the steps over there?
It sounds like it's coming from over there.
It's over there. Because of the table. Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh, moved.
I know you saw that, right?
Is this seed to come with? Seed to come with?
Jeez, I know y'all saw that.
Seed to come with? How's a come with work?
Can you move it again?
Move again?
It's all out of focus now.
Sit in it.
Well, the footsteps are still going. Right when I walked by, it knocked the cup off too. Can you make it move again?
Move again. How's a come with? Steps. What does he the steps?
Oh, I'll keep y'all posted.
The steps is gone.
As odd as this may have been, they both heard footsteps roaming the room, and eventually the cup fell from the tabletop. This literally made 0 sense and left them both terrified, especially Faye, who was way too young for something like this. A common occurrence that we seem to always come across on this channel are ghost hunters paying the price for partaking in such a dangerous job. These hunters spend hours of their day interacting with the paranormal entities of the world, and this would be enough to drive most people insane, sometimes even going too far for the hunters themselves to handle. The video you are about to see is an example of a ghost hunter who met a spirit that went a little bit too crazy for him to cope. However, due to the extremely high pay rates that this job offered, the poor man continued onwards, and this was what happened.
السلام عليكم مرقرو دابا كيتشن كناس ومكانا عبارة الله غسل دي خطر سبوري يا الله خير يا الله خير استغفر الله الله أكبر يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير وګورې خمر ګرو يا الله خير يا الله خير تاسو ته مو ویژنم ګورې کور کې پیریان دي خدا واړه دي دا وسې د وګوره خو پورتي ارته را بار کړی ها يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير استغفر الله الله أكبر وګورې ها يا الله خير يا الله خير قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس يا الله خير سوقي ركع سوقي يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير غوريها يا الله خير سوقي ركع يا الله خير يا الله خير استغفر الله الله أكبر يا الله خير سوقي ركع يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير.
Strangely, all sorts of objects took up lives of their own and started dancing around the room as if they had attended a disco. It was a rare occurrence for spirits to be powerful enough to move so many objects at once, so the ghost hunter instantly knew that he had a bad entity on his hands. Not that this stopped him on his mission. He needed to pay the bills somehow. For the next 10 or so minutes, the ghost hunter, who was named Ali for your information, did not come across anything out of the ordinary, and was moments away from calling this task a day. Just as he turned around though, and started finding his way out of the building, he heard some banging from behind and had to investigate further.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الله أكبر.
Everything about this closet was moving by itself, including the objects on top, which again showcased just how strong the spirit in question happened to be. Unlike the last clip, where Ali ignored the fear though, he could not help himself and ran back onto the corridor where he felt the tiniest bit more secure, but not as much as he would have wished. This led him to call it quits and run out of the building entirely. However, the ghost wanted to spook him one more time before he went on his travels.
Salam alaikum margaro da haga kor de tastu chi mawi padi ki periyan di poshwali tasu banan pakhpol ustargu bia wine yau zalha de ki har time periyani poshwali dau gore ha la ilaha illa allah muhammadur rasulullah allahu akbar لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله يا الله خير يا الله خير مرغورتا سوين يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير الله أكبر يا الله خير الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر يا الله خير يا الله يا الله خير.
Just as Ali exited the building, some more paranormal stuff started to happen, and it was starting to get a little bit out of hand. When he arrived home, he documented all of these sightings into a folder for the client who paid him to search the property and received his cash, although he openly stated it was not worth it whatsoever. Jackson was downstairs all by himself, and bear in mind that this is a very important detail for the next clip. Jackson and his family were an innocent bunch, and never really found themselves getting involved in anything troublesome. The house was just about as spiritually clean as you could get, with several holy books and crosses dotted around, as Jackson and his fiancée were both huge believers in a god. I bet if they knew what was about to come for them, they would have prayed for his help though, because the following video was bad, very bad.
Alright, so that right there is my basement door, right? I'm downstairs by myself. It's like 4:53 in the morning, and I just started hearing that. I have no fucking idea what it is, but I'm down here by myself. Everybody's sleeping, just me. Ain't the first time I heard this shit either.
Jackson was home alone when a knocking sound started playing at the basement door, and he did not like this at all. Even while he was documenting it, the banging would not stop, and it seemed that whatever was in there was desperate to be released once and for all. Fortunately, this sound did eventually stop, and Jackson was given the privilege to be happy again, as his entire family had just arrived home. Little did he know that they were his good omen in this situation, because the next time they decided to leave the house, things did not end well for him.
Alright, so I was hearing that knocking again, right? Except this time it's coming from that wall right there, which is my downstairs bathroom. And after a while I started hearing tapping on the bathroom door as well. So, what else? Record. See if anything else happens. I mean, I hear the shit every night. It's... what the fuck? Okay, that's never happened before. Now I have to go check it out, otherwise you guys are going to be like, oh, it's probably somebody in there. Let's go see. I'll show you guys right now. Ain't nobody in this right here. And it is empty. Yeah, no, that one was weird. That's never actually happened before. That's new, at least.
This time round, The noises came from the bathroom, which made no sense considering nobody had opened the basement to let its contents be free. Whatever this was had free reign, and Jackson needed to do something to stop it. His story will definitely continue in the next video on this channel, so stay tuned. Roland with me is a YouTuber well known for his haunting videos that gather views of over 3,000 on a consistent basis. He may be past his peak, but his content is just the same as before, and it sends chills down the spines of his audience consistently. The video you are about to watch was taken in his actual house, which was rather different compared to his usual paranormal location videos. He would typically venture out into the unknown to discover what he could, but for once, this video brought the suffering to his doorstep. This first clip was captured towards the beginning of his recording and would have scared any man enough to make them scream. However, Roland is one brave person, and he handled this quite maturely. Take a look.
Clock. Let me know. And why are you messing with my clock? Let me know that you are here. Show me some kind of sign. Do something. Did you just make the clock move? Alright, Alright, what the fuck was that? Alright, that clock just literally moved. Did you just make the clock move? Show me a sign. Do something. Holy fuck. Alright, that time, holy shit. Alright.
For some strange reason, the clock started going crazy for a split second before returning back to its normal state as if nothing happened at all. This left Roland not in a state of fear, but a state of utter disbelief as he stood there staring at the clock, almost as if he expected it to move again. Despite this crazy sighting though, Roland eventually became unfazed and decided to search the rest of his house for crazy stuff, and eventually he came across this.
There's someone upstairs! Alright. I swear it sounded like that f***ing chair just moved. Are you moving the chair? Okay. Alright. Why are you moving the chair? Are you trying to tell me something? Is there a reason why you're moving the chair in here? And messing with the clock? Can you speak to me? Can you let me know if you're happy or sad? Can you let me know?
Somehow the chair moved by itself, and this time Ronald was much more curious. It was very rare for a spirit to comply with him so easily, which took him aback, and understandably so. Camera-shy spirits are surprisingly very common, despite the endless amount of clips we see online of them doing whatever they want in front of one. These spirits will do everything in their power to torment somebody, and have the audacity to stop whenever they pull out a camera. This is horrible because it leads the victim to having no proof, and they cannot tell anyone without being deemed a psychopath. This was almost the harsh reality for Jack. Jack was certain that his house was haunted, as his last few weeks had been riddled with paranormal activity. Despite this, whenever he pulled out a camera, nothing would happen. He made it his mission to capture this spirit in the act, and would not stop until it gave up on trying to stay hidden, and eventually he succeeded.
Bro, our fridge just opened. We're trying to waste electricity. Hopefully we'll get some, because every time something happens I can barely ever catch it. I swear I just seen something move over there. Don't mind yo, we gotta clean. I got a daughter, so she's a little reckless, and I gotta wash some cups. Bro. I just saw that out the corner of my eye. I wish I would have got that. Can you make it move again? No? Okay. Bro, stop playing with me. Hello? Hello? Can you do it again? Man. Bro, you just spilt water all over my floor, dude. Are you serious? Bro. Yo. You got water dripping all over my floor now. At least it's water. Wasting electricity. Let fucking air in my house. Alright, yo, I gotta clean this up. I might as well just do these dishes too, since I already got water all over my damn floor. Alright, y'all.
As surprising as this was for Jack, the spirit spilt water all over the room on camera, and this must have been really annoying for him. Although his goal had been reached and he managed to obtain actual footage of the ghost, it made a damn awful mess, and it took him 10 minutes to tidy up. I'm sure it was an accident from the ghost, and it was just trying to do as he asked, but this definitely was not as pleasant of an experience as Jack intended it to be. Zach and his family were all fast asleep late at night when the most unexpected alarm clock sounded. The only difference was that this one did not at all sound like an alarm, rather a bang. Curious as to what caused the bang, Zach decided he would go and investigate the room which he believed it came from. Little did he know that this was going to be a huge mistake. Strangely, the chair slid across the room, and Zach was understandably put into fear by this. He sprinted back to his bedroom, but was careful not to wake up his son and wife. When he arrived at his bed, he decided to check the cameras for what the bang truly was, and this is what he discovered. If you were looking towards the right at the sofa, 2 toys fell from it without any human interaction. Upon checking this clip, Zach knew that his house must have been haunted and decided to start capturing as much evidence as possible. Make sure to subscribe because we will likely discuss the other evidence in future videos. On September 13th of 2018, Javier was sleeping home alone when one of the most disturbing nights of his life came to haunt him out of nowhere. We actually discussed Javier's backstory in another video on this channel, but in short, his brother, of whom he shared a haunted house with, passed away, and he was left to deal with the spirit alone. The doctors had no idea why he passed away, but they decided to pin it down to old age. Javier was convinced that the spirit did it to him. It was 3:12 a.m. on Javier's second week, without his brother, when the following clip was caught.
Gente, se cortó la luz. Estaba escuchando llorar a un bebé. ¡Oh, la puta madre!
For some bizarre reason, Javier could hear baby noises coming from the old playroom, and this made zero sense considering he had no children. As well as this, the spirit he was dealing with never actually made noise like this before, which was very trippy to say the least. Perhaps the ghost was starting to evolve. Who knows? What we do know is that Javier ended up selling the house on the housing market, but has not yet found a new place to stay. All we can do is wish him luck on this strugglesome search. In the following video, we step into the shoes of Henry, a British ghost hunter known for his bravery and ambition. He was renowned for being unable to feel fear in the spiritual industry and was one of the go-to people in his local area if you were suffering a ghostly problem. He had been doing the job for 3 years after all. Now, we actually looked into Harry in a very recent video on this channel, so you should do some scouring around for him. But essentially, he went on a ghost hunting mission to a mansion known as the Place of Nightmares. This mansion was so ridiculously riddled with the paranormal that it was able to create a full 20-minute video of clips for Harry, which I am slowly discussing across my videos, so subscribe to not miss them. Anyway, in the specific clip that you are about to see, Harry was wandering through the corridors of this building when he heard some suspicious noises coming from behind. Instinctively, he followed these noises trying to get some extra content, and indeed he did.
To be fair, the building's full of water. I'm not surprised I'm hearing shit. I'm hearing so much stuff, man. I'm gonna try and ignore it. Until I get a clear sign there is somebody here. Oh my god.
If you were paying very close attention as Harry reached the bottom of the stairs, a shadow figure could be seen in the doorway, and it is important to note that this was a solo mission without even a camera crew. Some leading theories were that this was a homeless man, or Harry was just lying, but I believe that the figure looked way too dark and mysterious to have been a human from the land of the living. That is for you to decide in the comments, though. The man you are about to watch the footage from was called Paul, and he formerly lived a very haunted life. His old house was absolutely horrible for paranormal activity, and the spirits would go as far as launching dangerous objects directly at him. It was not a nice experience at all. Fortunately, Paul was in a great position to move house though, and moved closer to the deserts in Nevada. However, it was not long until he discovered that he had not abandoned his spirit, just relocated it.
Hello? Hello?
This was the first time since moving house that Paul experienced something along these lines, and it really took him off guard. He never gave the idea of the spirit tracking him down any thought and dismissed it, even after his wife explained it to him several times. He paid the price, clearly. The unlucky thing is that he could not afford to move house again, so was stuck in that property for a good few years. It is unknown whether or not he managed to relocate without the poltergeist by his side, but you will be the first to know if that does happen. Hotels are supposed to be a place of peace and comfort where people can visit to have a healthy and safe night. Of course, these services cost money, but if you were the person in the next clip, then you would most certainly want a refund, because his experience was horrific. It was so poor that he published the video onto the Google reviews section of the hotel, so that everybody could be aware of what it had in store, and it is safe to say that this may have driven away a couple of customers.
A couple times already. And I don't know. Oh, crap. I know I got that. That's crazy. The phone, anything? Oh. Can you tell me your name? I can't hear you. Can you maybe speak a little louder? Oh my goodness. Okay, I know you're in here. I just want to know what your name is. And if there's anything I can do to help you. Is there anything at all? Can you tell me what it is that you're looking for?
Somehow, the telephone continued to fall off of its stand, despite being well balanced, and the towel and hanger even managed to join in on the fun. Now this was obviously shocking for Joe, the recorder, who only wanted to stay for a night but actually decided to check out of the hotel 4 hours early. He spent the next week or so beckoning for a refund from the hotel, but to his dismay, they did not permit one, considering that what happened was out of control. Should he have received his refund? I am keen to hear what you think about this in the comment section. The man you are about to watch the footage from was called Paul, and he formerly lived a very haunted life. His old house was absolutely horrible for paranormal activity, and the spirits would go as far as launching dangerous objects directly at him. It was not a nice experience at all. Fortunately, Paul was in a great position to move house though, and moved closer to the deserts in Nevada. However, it was not long until he discovered that he had not abandoned his spirit, just relocated it. This was the first time since moving house that Paul experienced something along these lines, and it really took him off guard. He never gave the idea of the spirit tracking him down any thought and dismissed it, even after his wife explained it to him several times. He paid the price, clearly. The unlucky thing is that he could not afford to move house again, so was stuck in that property for a good few years. It is unknown whether or not he managed to relocate without the poltergeist by his side, but you will be the first to know if that does happen. On a random Tuesday evening, Sabin, a young Muslim woman, was sitting on her sofa when an absolutely insane 2 minutes happened. She had just returned from mosque and was a woman who followed her religion deeply, claiming to have never sinned since becoming serious about it. Regardless of her good deeds towards Allah though, she somehow still managed to be haunted. Have a watch.
Ik ben dus helemaal alleen. Oh, dat ding. Oké, ik ga hier weg. Er gebeurt allemaal te veel in mijn huis.
All sorts of objects started to move around in the room, but the main one was her lucky goblet. Sabin only allowed herself to drink from the goblet when she knew she was about to do something dangerous in order to grant herself an advantage. The fact that the ghost tampered with this was very concerning for her. After ending the video, she prayed to Allah for protection, to which it was granted, and she never experienced anything of this sort. Could it have been a test, or was this some sort of demon genuinely attempting to torment her? I guess we, or she, will never know the answer for sure. Now, we have looked into the life of Arash Afnan before, and he is an Indian man who decided to create a TikTok account to document his paranormal findings. He first encountered something from the paranormal world a few years back, when some doors started to open and close by themselves, and since then, it has only gone downhill. I guess he has amassed a decent social media following from it though, so he can hardly complain. The video that you are about to see from him took place 7 months ago and was filmed in the perspective of Arash's son, Raj. Raj was made fun of at school for being very feminine, mainly because of his ownership of a pink teddy, which he was attached to a lot, so much that he would have a tantrum after losing it. One day, this day came. Raj lost his pink teddy, and once he figured this out, he tried to find it.
Bising, bising, bising. Nak tidur pun tak boleh. Hantu punya setan. Maning kau sorok? Kau lapar nasi ke setan? Bisinglah lagi. Ada 2 setan? Duduk diamlah! Apa lagi ni?
When he realized his teddy was missing, things around the house started to shake vigorously, as if the spirit was trying its hardest to freak the poor kid out, and it succeeded. The kid, after getting over the shaking, looked under the sink and found his teddy before closing the cupboard and getting ready to confront his father as to why it was there. However, when he opened it again, the teddy had vanished. Off camera, the duo searched the entire house for the teddy without success until Arash checked the under-sink cabinet again, where he actually found the teddy. After what happened next though, this was not considered a victory. Strangely, Raj took the teddy and slowly walked into the dining room before sitting down and holding the teddy tightly. This was super odd behavior from the child according to Arash, because he was a very bubbly person, and when he was mad, he definitely expressed it. Arash spoke to Raj for a solid 5 minutes, trying to figure out what was wrong with him, and he barely blinked. It took that whole time before Raj snapped out of this trance, and claimed that he had no clue what went on. He had been possessed. Chris and Mick were and still are a duo who take pride in their excellent chemistry. When together, they can make the moodiest person on the planet laugh, and they even managed to maintain that brilliant feeling when they experienced some spiritual activities on camera. One of their most requested videos was to visit a church stealth camp, which was supposedly haunted despite nobody knowing the reason why. With their bravery and values to provide top-tier content, they decided to visit the church, and what happened was weird.
Go on then, Mick. Now you don't fall over, son. I thought you were going to say it was locked there with a shit me pants. I'd have had skidamididders all over me uni bedundies. There we go, folks. Yeah. Well, like I say, I'm not scared, and I'm not one of these people that get to shiver up the spine or things like this. To me, it's not spooky, but we'll still have a look around. For you legends that like to watch the Blot Outdoor Show. Alright, isn't it? Cool. Cool place. I wouldn't want to sit here all night, like, but say, guys, been abandoned since the 1970s. Obviously, they must leave the door open now and again. The fuck? The fuck's it? I'm out of here. Sorry, guys. What the fuck was that? Oh, I think Mick's filled his pants. I get skin in my didders only be dundies. I think Mick's got a lug of a jugger in his only pedandies.
I've got a hole in them, like, hole. Nice big hole.
That's the fastest I've ever seen you run. It was probably, do you know what it probably was? It was just like, it's open, you've probably got like birds getting in and something's being knocked off or something. I don't know. That's what I'm telling myself, guys. But yeah, like I said, things like that don't normally scare me. But when you hear a bang somewhere like that, and I've been reading about how spooky the place is supposed to be, but I've convinced Mick to have one more look inside this so-called haunted church. Go on then, Schmick.
Nah, you ain't got closer.
Well then. Oh well, I'll go on first. Right, Mick, you follow me. I think the first time we came in, I think we just let our imaginations run away with ourselves, which is easy when you're in the pitch black and you're having a few beers. Just leave that door open, Mick. I've got to be honest, it does have a little bit of a spooky kind of feel to it. I think that's because what we've been reading, and it's genuine, it has been abandoned since the 1970s. By abandoned, I mean it doesn't get used anymore for like services or burials or anything like that. But yeah, now that we've came in and we've studied for a few seconds, I think kind of chilled now. You chilled out, Mick? Yeah. However, let's have a mooch around. I said to Mick, we'll have one more look in here and then later on we'll do the room review. Little Mick says, well, we'll have a look around, but we'll do the room review back over there. I've kind of had to persuade him to come back in. I mean, I can see why people come here, Mick, and do the old spooky, ghostly tours and look for the paranormal readings and stuff like that. It's not my kind of thing. My kind of thing is sitting in a tent and getting mangled, spangled, and totally grim crankled. But each to their own, wherever your hobby is. Let's have a look over here, Schmick. Oh, here we go. I've got a photograph of young Chris here. Oh, sorry guys. It's not young Chris. Apologies. It's Jesus Christ. Our the son.
Milky buttons there.
Yeah, milky buttons. What? What the What? Mix away. Ooh, shut that door. What the...
The duo were the only two people in the church, and the fact they managed to make a situation of that seriousness funny was very respectable. Nothing in the church fell, but one of the big doors slammed shut, and do note that it was not a windy night. In Puerto Rico, there was once a hotel which was called the DuPont Plaza, and it operated in the 1980s. In 1986, the hotel caught fire, and this was no mild flame. It was a huge one, which unfortunately ended a lot of lives, and the blame was pinned onto 3 employees. Despite the people inside the building being cooked, the building itself was surprisingly still standing, and in between, then and now, has been sold onto new owners several times. Its current state is the Marriott Stellaris, still operating as a hotel, but after the following clip emerged, I doubt they will pull many customers. It was captured using a security camera at 3 a.m. and showcased a guard of the hotel walking around one of the least wandered areas of the hotel. She expected this to be a normal stroll, as she was unaware of the hotel's horrible past. Little did she know that she was in for a real treat. She claimed that someone or something tugged at her hair, and by instinct, she assumed that it was one of her co-workers messing around with her, as banter was huge with the staff. After watching the video back, though, she found out that this was not in fact the case. In the upcoming clip, the woman of the family was walking around the house and keeping her baby tight for good reason. You see, she was performing a sage, a method which is supposed to banish evil spirits from somebody's home. She had walked around the entire house and saw no sign of the entity's presence. However, once she reached the kitchen, things managed to take a turn for the worst.
Leave us alone, once and for all. Leave this house. We're sick of you messing with us. Sick of you messing with us.
Whilst the woman and the baby were in the room, the trash can fell over, and just as she was leaving, some sort of basket followed. None of these collapses were nearly as shocking as what happened when they complete their exit from the room, though. Immediately, all sorts of objects started to act up, and the spirit was making its distaste towards the saging very clear. This is the only piece of footage we received, so the rest of the lore is unknown. We do advise you to send all of your luck over to this family, though, especially considering the fact that they have a baby. Gamers can be known to make some of the cringiest jokes in history, and that is not a targeted attack. I am a gamer too. Sometimes the moment for a joke of that nature is more than suitable. On the other hand, there are times where they do way more harm than good. The Asian man in the video that I am about to show you decided to refer to a spirit that he was searching for as an NPC, which for you non-gamers refers to a non-playable character. It became clear fast that the spirit did not like this reference, as it took it upon itself to give the man a reaction.
有人吗里边？哎，梅西啊，我的老板。哎呦我操你妈！ 哎呦我，哎，我操你妈！哎，出来！出来！出来来！出来！是谁？谁？谁？
From the bottom of the curtain, we could see that there was movement on the other side, and like any normal person, the man behind the camera wanted to look behind it and gave in to his urges. He seemingly chased whatever was behind the curtain for a good minute before giving up and realizing that he was chasing nothingness. Just to clarify, when I say giving up, I mean he stopped chasing. He did not stop exploring the property, and this decision is what led him to the next clip. He came across the bathroom and gave it a thorough search. The most vital conclusion from this search was that nothing else was in the room with him. After his search, he explained that his worst fear at that moment was the mirror, and his fear was proven valid just a moment later.
有人吗？我操你妈呀！这写什么字儿？最怕的是惊人。我操你！我操你！ 去你妈的！哎，我操你妈！我操你妈，脚丫子！
If you look at the gap at the bottom of the door for the bathroom stall, a pair of legs could be seen standing there, and as I previously mentioned, the room was clear. This was a horrifying apparition, but nowhere near as terrifying as the one in the next clip. On April 12th of 2024, a man and his dog were going on a beautiful walk through the park during the peak of spring. The owner of the dog, Rob, explained that the pet loved walks especially during that time of the year because of how perfect the conditions were for walking. Not too warm, yet not too cold, as I said. Perfect. The park added onto the conditions, as it was a gorgeous view for the duo to look out onto, and no matter what season it was, they always paused for a few minutes at the same exact checkpoint. Over all of their years walking together though, they never witnessed anything quite as alarming as this. What was usually a peaceful checkpoint became a spooky one when Rob and his dog spotted some sort of spirit apparition floating above the lake. At first, Rob did not see this spirit and wondered why his dog felt so uncomfortable at such a familiar location. After reviewing his video out of concern though, he found out exactly what caused it and uploaded it to YouTube for people like us to see. Now I know that a lot of people struggle to believe the clips that I showcase simply because they do not trust me. However, this next piece of footage came from Channel 5. Channel 5 is a reliable British broadcast, and one of its most popular shows involves police adventures, where we can see what the jobs of law enforcement are really like. Most episodes include high-action, thrilling chases where criminals are speeding away from the police at 100 miles per hour. The one that you are about to see was much different, and I am going to show you why. Take a look.
The runaway carves across the carriageway.
Stand by, it's going off.
And calls it a day. You're nicked. Or you should be.
Where is he?
There's no one outside, no one behind the wheel, and the van is locked.
Where's he gone?
It's magic.
In the back. Maybe in the bank.
He stopped to think he's hiding in the back.
There's no one in the driver or passenger seat, and no one's decam that we can see. We need to get in, mate.
Yeah, mate, I'm going to smash window in a sec.
The best knock-knock jokes have smashing punchlines. But the joke's on Dan and Rob.
No.
Eh? No. No one jumped out?
It's a classic locked van mystery.
Weird.
There's just one explanation.
Must have decamped.
You know, the woodland track.
The only logical solution to this scenario was, as the policeman said, the driver must have decamped. A decamp is when someone secretly and suddenly exits a location and is typically used in police vocabulary. The officers ordered a search of the entire vicinity, but nobody was hiding and no one matched the description that they had of the man. As well as this, the camera was on the van for the majority of the tape, so the driver must have left in under a second, which is definitely not possible. This is a mystery that will not be solved, and all we can do is ponder. I am joking. It was most certainly the act of a ghost. The following video was recorded in the household of Sheila, an aging woman who had no real opinion on the paranormal world. She was known around town as your ordinary old lady, always complaining and had no idea how to operate technology. However, she fortunately did know how to record. One random day, Sheila heard some strange noises coming from her living room, so decided that it would be best to go and investigate. Little did she know that what was happening would leave her discomforted for hours.
Look, the light is on. You can clearly see there is no fishing wire or strings. It's just hovering. Look at that.
As weird as this may have been, the phone continued to levitate above its dock, and it was clear that there were no strings or items of intervention attached. Sheila decided to film the incident so that she could show her friends at the club she visited, called the Ladies' Circle, who offered help to those who were struggling. To her dismay though, they all laughed at her, and she was nicknamed Psycho Sheila. After being given this nickname, Sheila's self-esteem deflated, and she decided to leave the Ladies' Circle despite it doing so much for her. She informed her only child that she made that decision, and feeling sympathetic, the daughter visited her mother for a weekend. It was during this visit that the phone-moving spirit gained another witness, this time a much more believable one.
Don't touch her. You don't have to touch her.
No.
Whilst Sheila's daughter was using the restroom, the phone started to levitate again, and she called her daughter back into the room to make sure that she saw what was happening. Suddenly, the phone dropped back down as if the spirit was attempting to hide itself from another witness, but it was too late. Throughout the following week, the duo visited several churches hoping that they would be able to help them overcome the haunting, and only one followed through. A priest was sent to Sheila's house and successfully banished the poltergeist which was haunting it, and Sheila was readmitted into the ladies' circle, where they all apologized to her for their horrible actions. The lesson of the story was that even the darkest and most spooky of stories can have a positive ending. Muko was a young ghost hunter who had only recently found the business in his interests. He grew up for most of his life being told that he was useless to society because he failed every single one of his exams and was unemployed. Regardless of such a horrible start to his life, the paranormal world saved him. When he was just 11 years old, he experienced his first haunting, and being honest with himself, he was terrified of it. The back of his mind, on the other hand, found the encounter interesting, and he has been wanting more of them ever since. The upcoming clip comes from his second mission as a ghost hunter, where he was hired to search an abandoned house for paranormal activity. A family of 4 were all murdered together in the household 3 years before the recording, and this is why the council believed it to be haunted. They just needed Muko to certify this for them. On his mission, he found several leads that showed just how haunted the house was, and here was the first one. Strangely, the mirror started shaking aggressively, and it was very obvious that this was happening without any kind of human interaction. Nothing could be seen on screen that could have possibly caused such a shake for such a drastic period, which led Muko to include this sighting in his end of mission report. But this was not the only thing he found. To be precise, he was only just getting started.
Так, нужно включить ЭГФ. Так, по ЭГФ тишина. Грохот продолжается. Дай мне знак.
Shortly after beckoning the ghost to give him a sign of its presence, a straw shelf with a teddy on it started to shuffle its way in front of the doorway. It is extremely rare for a spirit to comply so easily with people, especially a ghost hunter who is usually there to exterminate them, so there was a lot of speculation regarding this capture. People believe that the family who haunted the place wanted to be banished so that they could be set free from the four walls. However, others think there was a much darker reason for their obligation to obey. Perhaps they were incentivizing Mikhailo to continue his mission so that they could haunt him further. If that was the case, then they had a huge success. The shaking of this portrait continued for around 15 minutes after the recording ended, and Mikhailo finally had enough evidence of a ghost to be paid for his work. He imported all of the clips into a folder which he shared with the client and posted them to YouTube so that he could gain more employers through that platform. It is safe to say that his career will only go up from here, and if he posts anything else, then I will be sure to share it with you, so make sure to subscribe. On October the 6th of 2011, a man who lived on his own was making himself some dinner when he suddenly felt the urge to go into the living room. This urge was one that he could not and still cannot explain, but what he does know is that he could not stop himself from going there, and only time would tell why. Once he entered the room, he explained that he felt cold and unwelcome, which was not a usual feeling in his house. Little did he know that it was a spiritual presence causing this.
Holy crap. Holy crap. I can't believe I just got that on film. Oh my, holy crap. I was just moving a little bit there from me touching it, but I don't believe that just happened. I didn't think I'd get anything. Well, I'm definitely going to be filming this area more. If there's anyone out there, please shut this door again. If there's anybody at all out there, please just shut the door. Move it just a little bit, just to show us that you're truly out there. Come on, do it one more time. One more. That's all I'm asking for. Just one more time, please. Show us that you're here. Show us your presence. Just move the door. Please, show us you're here. Show us that you're present. Let your presence be known by shutting this door one more time. I know you already did it, but please do it again. I don't know if I'm gonna get it again. Can't believe I just saw that. If you're out there, please shut this door one more time. That's all I'm asking. Just move. Oh my god. Holy shit. Okay, I'm getting seriously freaked out right now. I'll show you guys one more time that there's, oh my, holy crap. There's nothing even attached here.
Now it took a lot of begging, but eventually the ghost made its mind up and closed the door a second time. What made this time more impactful was that the man had shown the audience that the door had no strings attached beforehand, so it was clear that this must have been done by a spirit. As well as this, both sides of the door were on camera, so unlike the first time around, there were no accusations of there being a human on the other side. Now it is safe to say that humans can cook, and that is an undeniable fact. Just look at the things that we have made over the years. From paella to curry, the dishes go on, and cultures are very proud of what they have produced. However, we are not the only things that can operate in a kitchen. For some reason, ghost sightings in the kitchen have spiked massively over the last few years, and it is a trend that has come with no explanation. The video that you are about to watch follows said trend perfectly and is disturbing to say the least. Have a watch.
What the fuck was that all about, dude? What the fuck is that all about? I've been trying to fast. Are you telling me that I need to eat? No. Let me try to be healthy. I'm not even...
Somehow the pan moved on its own accord and went completely out of position. It was not like one of those regular collapses where a pan loses balance though. It was unnatural, like something invisible was moving it. To make things even stranger, the teenager who filmed the video, Callum, felt no different than he usually did. A ghostly presence is usually accompanied by a cold feeling, or at least some unease, but not this one, which made the case ever more mysterious. The audience of the clip have been debating for some time now about what kind of spirit this was, and I am sure that the comments in this video can conclude this scenario once and for all, so feel free to share your opinions. If you had to place a bet on where a spirit would be most likely to appear, what would you put your paycheck on? A basement? A graveyard? A historic battlefield? After I introduce you to the next piece of footage, you will not choose any of those options. You will choose a hospital. A nurse was passing by the security room during one of her breaks when she decided that she would have a nosy on how her patient, Dominic, was doing with the doctor. She took out her keys and entered the room full to the brim, with monitors showing every room in the hospital. But it was one specific one which managed to catch her eye, and what it showcased was odd, to put it lightly. A weird black shadow figure could be seen standing by one of the hospital beds, and at first the nurse thought it was just a visitor of the patient. However, this would shortly be debunked. Defying all laws of physics, the nurse and the doctor operating in the surgery walked right through the shadow, confirming that they could not see it, nor knew of its presence. This was when the nurse thought it was a ghost. Using her radio, she managed to get in touch with the nurse in the room and asked him whether he could see another person around the hospital bed. His answer was horrible. He could not. To make matters worse, the spirit disappeared after this sentence and never came back again. Ghost experiences are far more common than most people think, but physical apparitions, on the other hand, not so much. An apparition describes when a ghost shows itself to the human eye in physical form, and these sightings are some of the most terrifying things that a human can experience. They can often look like morphed versions of humans, or on other occasions, demons, so it is safe to say that it is good that they are rare. Unfortunately though, some people do have to experience them, and this was the case for the business owner in the following video. She was at her local storage facility placing her stock into the safety of her unit when she noticed something shocking. This sighting was so disturbing that she explained afterwards how she switched facilities immediately and vowed to never return again, even going as far as giving the place 7 half-star reviews on her alt accounts. Think she went too far? Let me know in the comments after you watch it for yourself.
Okay, so I've just put some of my stuff in storage, but I wanted to show you guys this place, and I'm not going down there because the lights are broken and it's creepy as fuck. If I just take you up here, look at this. It is so creepy. It all looks the same. I've got lost in here so many bloody times because of how similar it all looks. Honestly, it's kind of giving me backroom vibes. I mean, just...
The figure looked very unhuman-like, and it made perfect sense why Riley believed that it was the apparition of a paranormal being. She went on to show the video to almost everyone she knew, but as expected, they were not believers, and provided as many quote-unquote logical solutions as they possibly could. Riley was not having any of it though. What she saw was a spirit, and nobody was about to alter her opinions. On a cold and stormy Tuesday night, Alyssa was sleeping very well. She had endured a long and tiresome day at work, so she deserved all of the rest she could get. But sometimes in life, people do not get what they deserve. And this turned out to be the case in the following clip. The clock struck 3 a.m. and Alyssa was woken up by some strange sounds coming from her door. Anxious, she peeked around the corner to see if anyone was standing there, and what she saw was not what she wished to see. To her dismay, a strange, cloudy figure could be seen at the door, and the noises continued to happen. Alyssa's breathing became heavy, and she wanted nothing more than to be out of this horrible situation. The problem was, she could not escape and endured the noise for the entire night. The following video was an extremely unsettling one, and for different reasons than usual. Typically on this channel, the reactions to spirits that we watch are full of fear and fright. But the one that I am about to show to you, much different. It took place in a dude's kitchen, and he was simply recording a video for an Instagram story when one of the most unexpected things happened, which made it go viral.
So I know at this point this goes without saying, but I should not drink anymore. I went a whole fucking while without drinking. Without drinking alcohol, and like I was like, hey, let me relax, drink some fucking White Claws, get white girl wasted and all that other shit. And it started happening again. And this isn't like, I mean, it's not news or anything. I figured it's because I drink.
Mid-speech, his protein powder fell to the shelf below its resting spot, which was very odd. What made this clip ever more disturbing, though, was the fact that the boy behind the camera only gave it a pause for a reaction and didn't do anything else. Quite a unique reaction to a unique experience, I must say. Mario was a third-generation Latin American whose grandparents had migrated from Mexico in search of greener pastures back in the 1950s, a few years after the war. He had heard that his abuela tell crazy stories of El Cucuy, La Llorona, and numerous others like that. For some reason, he wasn't scared like his other siblings were. Instead, he was much more interested in the weird and strange things his abuela did at the back of the house on cold summer nights when no one was watching. One day, he confronted her about this, and she opened up about her old life as a voodoo priestess and how she had learned to connect with the supernatural. Mario loved the idea of this and learned all he could from his abuela. They were extremely close to each other until the day she died. Mario's involvement with his grandma made him so hungry for the supernatural that he started going around town looking for haunted houses and places where he could see ghosts. It was in one of his outings that this unreal video was taken.
Tengo mucho miedo. Me quedé solo en la casa. Me han pasado cosas desde que vi ese maldito video. Escucho cosas. No hay luz. No sé qué hacer. Escucho muchas cosas. Ay, Dios, tengo miedo. ¿Qué pedo? ¿Quién está ahí? ¿Qué pedo? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué es eso? No mames.
He literally saw the chair move by itself, but he didn't even move a muscle because of how used to it he was. It was something he had seen over and over again. Mara had decided to do some antique shopping to decorate her brand new home, but she didn't expect to exactly see much. She just wanted to get some new kitchenware and any cute items that she might find. When she got to the shop, the old lady there was somewhat grumpy and didn't give Mara much attention. She just ignored her though and decided to look around for the stuff she came for. Fortunately, Maria came across a leather purse from the 1950s, some washed-up Levi's jeans, and a new china set, just as she had hoped. After finding these amazing items and being on the verge of checking out, something cutesy caught her eye, and she could not resist it. A locally made doll, dressed in traditional Indian attire. Immediately after seeing it, she couldn't take her eyes off it. Curiously, Mara inspected the doll and realized that the price tag was missing, which was odd to say the least, and went to inquire to the woman on the till. The woman looked at her strangely and slowly replied, "This one is free." Mara was surprised that such an intricately made doll had no price and snatched at the offer, oblivious as to what it was about to do to her life. It was after a few weeks of having the doll around that she started to realize why it came for nothing. After starting to feel weird about the doll, she decided it was best to set up a camera near it and find out what the problem was. Surprisingly, the camera actually caught some movement, and the doll made the tiniest of moves before the camera malfunctioned. Coincidence? I think not. Jeremy had always been an observant person. He was also very big on the small details, so when things started changing positions in his home, he easily noticed. Jeremy had a roommate called Ed who spent his time at the hospital being a nurse. This meant that there was no chance Ed was behind these movements. Due to this conclusion, Jeremy suspected some supernatural activity, so he bought a few crucifixes, asked a priest to bless them, and hung them at different places in the house. It was then that he truly experienced more paranormal events, and it got so bad that Jeremy had to whip out his camera to record this.
Okay, I've been hearing banging for a good little while now. It comes from the bathroom door over there and then from the front. Do you hear it? Did you hear that? I'm just literally about to pick something to watch and I can hear banging on the... Can you hear it? It's this door. I don't know what is going on in here today. I'm completely on my own in here as well. There's no room in here either. What a crazy encounter. Now, I'll give you a bit of backstory. So, folks, I've been waiting to show you that video for months now. I caught it at the end of the summer, around August time, when paranormal activity was quite rife in my house, which I believe to be connected to a few of the haunted objects I've collected over time. Now, since this, nothing's happened in the house, apart from very recently when we were on holiday. My mum and sister were minding the house for us and heard someone again knocking on that door, the front door, opened it straight away and there was nobody there. And that's the first thing that's happened in a little while. So I just wanted to share it with you. It's absolutely genuine what I caught one day a couple of months ago, but I wanted to save it for the Halloween season with it being so incredibly good, if you will call it that. Let me know what you thought.
This was a full series of paranormal events captured in broad daylight, and Jeremy did not hesitate to contact his roommate about the possibility of living somewhere else. Fortunately, Ed agreed, and they would go on to leave just 1 week later, making Jeremy recover from this spooky day. Huego was a single dad who had a full-time job as a doctor and also took care of his twin daughters. They were 8-year-olds at the time and asked a lot of questions about the silliest of topics. Every time Huego had to come up with something that would somehow satisfy their young and playful minds. However, there was one night when this was not possible. The duo came to Huego with their barrage of questions when they were supposed to be in bed. But this time, one of their questions was quite unusual. They asked about a woman in their wardrobe who always came to kiss them goodnight. He was rather surprised by the question, but ended up telling them it was their guardian angel, and they believed the story, running back upstairs happy as ever. Huego, on the other hand, was not so pleased. After a few weeks, the girls mentioned that their guardian angel wasn't coming around as often as she used to, so Huego told them that she was perhaps a bit tired. This is when he started to treat this as a paranormal case and set out to find proof. One day, he dropped the girls off at their grandma's and decided to spend the night alone. His plan was to stay awake through the night and make sure nothing out of the ordinary was happening. However, when he heard a noise from the girls' room, his instincts kicked in. He picked up his phone and hit record on the camera.
¿Qué pasa, Sansa? De acá viene el ruido. Ey, ey, ey. Qué mierda, ey, ey. Vete de mi casa. Ey. ¿Qué fue eso? Ey, andate de mi casa, no quiero que estés acá, andate. ¿Qué es eso? Escuchá. No puede ser. Concha de la lora. Ey, andate de mi casa. La puta madre, lo único que me falta ahora.
We know how protective fathers can be of their girls, and this time, it most definitely paid off. Huego actually had to call an exorcist after this event, even though it seemed like the benevolent spirit of his wife who had passed away a few years prior. He did not want to banish someone that close to him, but risks must have been made in case it was a demon. It was something from the horror books. A father sharing a wholesome moment with his daughters, but the ending is extremely terrifying to watch. Take a look.
Oh, fuck, dude. Fuck, yeah. Nothing here. Nothing here. Oh my god, oh my god, look, legit goosebumps. Oh my god. What the fuck is that?
The look of fear in the man's eyes, and how foreboding the ghost in the background was. Not something you'd want your kids to see. Living in a suburban home means you have a semi-quiet and peaceful place to stay in. But what happens when you realize your home is haunted by a spirit that goes around trashing things and making your life difficult? That's exactly what happened to Donna, a middle-aged woman living in the middle of Louisville, a popular suburban place in Kentucky. Donna lived a happy life, residing in her comfortable apartment all by herself and working from home. Her 2-room apartment was her haven, but after just 6 months of living there, she started to notice some really strange stuff. First, things seemed to be missing around the house a lot, including her car keys, her shampoo, and she constantly found that her favorite bottle of Lynx body spray was somehow always falling off the table where she kept it. At first, she thought it was just rolling off, but over time she realized it had to be something else. One night she decided to put her bottle of Lynx under surveillance and watched some television nearby. What she discovered shocked everyone. Here, take a look.
Anyone see that? Just a normal can. Normal can. Did you see it again? Just a can. Keeps happening. I'm here, by the way. I'm stood here at the side. Was watching TV. Was. I'm going to show you this. You don't believe a word I'm saying, guys, do you? Well, there's a bit more for you. This is what I'm getting every single night. This is why I'm up all night. Need help.
Right before our very eyes, the bottle of Lynx was thrown to the floor by an unseen force over and over again. This put Donna into an unexplainable state of fear that she had never felt before, and she was forced to stop recording. Andrew was on vacation in Canada, alone after he's just finished a master's program in Christian spirituality at Sarum College. Andrew had one primary goal. He wanted to explore all the possible Christian history in the Alberta area, all the old churches, monuments, and whatnot. He was extremely excited when he found out that there was an Airbnb he could stay in that used to be the parsonage of an old church. It was exactly what he wanted. However, what he didn't know was that the church was abandoned because of the horrific things that had taken place there during the Second World War. He expected to see some of the Gothic architecture and maybe tour around the old church, but this was not what he got. He walked around the building and even took some pictures. However, his woes started when he arrived home later that night after having dinner.
Okay, that's kind of weird. This thing is moving. There's no fan on or anything. This thing's moving. Holy f***. Holy f***. This is like an old church. Pretty crazy. Oh shit. That's up. Something going on in here. Okay.
The chandelier started swinging and the curtains even shut all by themselves, while Andrew just stood there in horror as he watched the next few moments of his life unfold before him. After these events, he decided to show the video to his grandma, who was his closest relative, and she advised him to do more background checks on the places he visits. Good advice. In the following video, a boy called Michael was sitting in his bedroom watching a movie when he was suddenly caught off guard by a huge disturbance. Apparently, over the past week or so, his cabinet had constantly been opening and closing, so he decided that the best option was to tie it closed. However, not even this was enough to completely stop whatever was doing this in its tracks.
So I'm sitting here watching a movie and my cabinet yanked. Like, you can still see it moving a little bit. Like the thing I have it tied shut with. And usually it's tighter than that. And see? Look, I told you. I told you something was yanking on it. And it's weird because it's been a long time since it messed with this cabinet. Hello? You want to do it again? Are you trying to get the doors open? Well, I would take that as a yes.
Now, if you didn't believe Michael's bizarre story, you most definitely do now. The fact that the door did this twice showed that it wasn't a one-off event, and there was certainly something wrong with that piece of furniture. That wasn't all, though.
Hello? Is there a reason why you wanted me to open the door? I know it's been a while since you messed with this cabinet.
If you listen very carefully, the word evil could be heard once Michael decided to open the cupboard door. This could only mean one thing, and it definitely freaked the poor boy out. Whatever was doing this was on the evil spectrum of spirits, and things only got worse from here. Michael was able to catch one more thing on camera before the ghost took a break, and it was arguably the most prominent capture of the three. Take a look.
Alright, I'm about to close the door. I'm pretty sure that doll just looked up at me.
Weirdly, the doll with the ginger afro moved backwards, and nothing could have possibly triggered this barring a spirit. Immediately after this insane phenomenon, Michael slammed the cabinet door shut and ran out of the house. We don't know what happened next, but we can only hope that he is now okay.